Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the FSL Thailand qualifiers, and well, today we do have a couple of matches for you, but I just kind of want to jump into the matches real quick because we are into picks and bans. I don't want to miss any of this action coming down. Just to give our viewers a bit of a reminder, I'm Hungry Cass alongside Amy Spoots. We were here for the Vietnam qualifiers. We weren't here last week because we did have some other events running for the Philippine qualifiers, but we're back now. We'll be here to bring you the action for today. And looking at the picks and bans, let's kind of go through this. We see the Morgana, Silas, and Jace on blue side, and on the red it's gonna be the Karma, Silver Kai'Sa, Silver, and Lux.
Yeah, it looks like on red side they are banning towards the bot lane. Definitely want to pinch that bot lane pool, but they do pick up Nami, so we're gonna have to see what AD carry they decide to go for.
Yeah, interesting we see Kayn this early on in the draft, but Karma is no surprise. You know, the idea of being used as a flex pick coming in, and the Ryze as well, so they have sort of double flex here. You know, you can put Karma or Ryze on top or mid, even Karma support, you know, to deal with that Nami later on, but right now the opposition's the ones that have shown a bit more of their hand. Corki, Nami, as well as Caitlyn. Oof, that's a scary bot lane.
Yeah, that's gonna hurt, man.
Yeah, I think it's quite frustrating if you're dealing against, if you're laning against that, because just the power of Caitlyn's range combined with Tightcall's Blessing, and if they do hit the Aqua Prison, you can follow that with a trap and then, you know, deal a good amount of damage following up from there. So it's actually a really strong bully lane on the bot side here.
I even removed the Sivir, which is actually pretty small. It doesn't really go that well on the Caitlyn early into the lane. So we're sort of wondering like what you want to pick into that lane. I'm thinking maybe a Jinx will be okay here.
Oh yeah, Jinx might be not too bad. I think Varus as well is a decent depending on how you pick your keystones. A lot of the other regions have been showing a propensity to pick Xayah Rakan in the bot lane. I think when it comes to laning, not so good, but when you approach the level 6 mark, you know, the power spike is really much more impactful than a Nami Caitlyn at level 6.
Yeah, this is definitely a priority pick, which we haven't seen either team really go for at the moment, but we do see the Karma already in, so if they go for Xayah Rakan, they're definitely going to put in.
Yeah, speaking of which, pinching the bot lane pool, the last ban for the red side here is going to be the Tristana, Renekton before that, so like you said, you know, the idea of, well, we've got our own bot lane, might as well, you know, remove their options, and I don't think that they want to play against this Tristana. Looking at what they have on the blue side, they already locked in their own jungle, so pinching the Sejuani as well as another jungle ban like the Evelynn might be the best idea here.
Not exactly what we've been seeing a lot lately, but then again we haven't seen Kayn either, so that might be like a counter pick that they're afraid of or something.
If you remember last week, we saw actually Kayn in the jungle, I think during the was it Girl Gamer? I think, yeah, it was the Girl Gamer, right? And I think they played Kayn in the jungle. I was talking to the coach Leonard of Top 10 Dinos. Why do you play Kayn? It's just your ability to skirmish early on, and depending on how flexible you want to be, which forms you're going to take, really impacts how your team can diversify their strategy. So I think the Kayn early on not only provides a lot of lane pressure, but the idea of being more flexible is also there for the Kayn players.
But on the other side, we do see the Jarvan 4, which can bring a lot of early game damage and that skirmish potential. Can also follow Kayn over walls, so that's going to be one matchup that's going to be very interesting. I think whichever jungler comes out on top of that will sort of decide the game.
Alright, bot lane is going to be Lucian Nautilus, so right now Ryze, Karma, solo laners, but we don't exactly know which particular lanes they're going to go for. If I was a betting man, I would say it would be Ryze mid lane, and I think just with the changes to the kit, Ryze nowadays kind of works better in short lanes because of the lack of a shield. You can't tank off so much damage right now. You become a bit more of a machine gun sort of champion as opposed to a long lane bully.
Yeah, of course, Ryze, short lane, like you said, definitely wants to just stay back, farm, and, you know, wait until he hits those power spikes where he can actually take fights.
Yeah, each big item is just a huge power spike for us, especially when they do start scaling up, right? You look at tier into Saros, and then a lot of them nowadays do the Abyssal Mask, or against this composition, you might just be better off going for something like a Righteous Glory for a bit more resistances coming in a HP, because your team doesn't have a true tank apart from the Nautilus, so you might want to be building a bit more beefy to protect the front line a bit more, whereas the last pick here for red side, we did see the Aatrox come in. A bit low in priority this draft phase, but I would say overall still an extremely strong pick coming in.
Definitely, I think most players right now taking Aatrox is more for comfort, so we probably should see, you know, a certain level of competence at the champion. So I think taking the Aatrox into Karma, it's gonna be slightly favored towards the Karma because of the ranged against melee, but Aatrox definitely has the potential to come out here as well.
Yeah, I think the scaling is the big thing here for the Aatrox, because normally if you play Aatrox into mage lanes, they can't go for early executioners, right? So they can't mitigate your healing coming in. And when you do go for that death stance, you know, you kind of have that small window of power where you can basically all in them under turret, because your healing is so oppressively high that they can't really do anything to mitigate it. So when it comes into this matchup, I think actually Aatrox does have the upper hand either against Rise or Karma in the side lanes.
Karma tank top. Let's go.
Oh man,
I mean,
this should be like the klepto sort of mage Karma,
Right.
you know. I wouldn't so much as to say go for Ardents, but you know, bring in utility items might be the best choice. Maybe Iceborne Gauntlet might be a decent pick here.
meanwhile, in the mid lane, we got Rise versus Corki.
Oh.
It's gonna be a very boring.
I'm
lane.
not a fan of this like Corki Azir meta.
Nah,
It's so
man.
boring. People just clear the waves and like, oh, I hit one Iron Power Spike. I'm gonna try and fight here. If I don't get my window, I'm just gonna back off and farm again. It's so frustratingly slow to watch.
Season 4 sends their regards.
Yeah. I honestly liked Season 3 when everyone's playing Assassins because that's like the best to me, right? You just play Assassins with like an aggressive jungle and then you mid jungle 24/7. Just fight in the mid lane. But now we're back to the meta where it's wave clear, farm in the mid lane, wait for the late game team fighting.
Earlier, we did point out the jungle matchup though, so I think when you have the Karma and the Rise in the respective side lanes, I think Kayn at this point should just really focus on getting his Lucian a hit,
Oh,
so
yeah.
he hits that mid game power spike earlier on in the game.
The thing about Lucian, you know, I like that you pointed out because he's one of those champions that comes in as a lane bully, but when it approaches the late game, it becomes tougher for the Lucian player to effectively deal damage because of the short range. So you excel in mid and early game, but the late game fights are extremely tricky against something like a Corki, Caitlyn, who are not only going to be building crit items, but also will have the range advantage on you.
One thing he can abuse though is of course the Caitlyn mid game power trough. I think when
Oh, yeah.
Lucian's strongest point is sort of Caitlyn's weakest point, so I think if he's able to abuse that, Caitlyn's not going to be able to find her way into the late game at all.
Yeah, I think that is the tricky part, especially like we always talk about this, right? What the weaknesses of Caitlyn. One thing is she has to exit the lane with the lead, otherwise her mid game is just non-existent. And the second sort of issue is the fact that if you can't bully the lane itself, right? If you don't have the capabilities of chipping out your opponents, it's really hard for you to get advantage in the lane.
Definitely. Did I seem we are casting the wrong?
Oh,
game?
we're gonna be. So I think right now we are doing the same games as the Thai casters
Okay.
because we did have like a idea of what the stream was gonna be like, the schedule for today at least, right? So I think
alright.
our early game for today we were predicted to cast the Mythos game, right? Mythos Gaming, but right now it seems to be a different set of games. But nevertheless, still good action going down. I like the fact that we're coming in with a draft that seems pretty solid from both sides, right? It doesn't seem like the expectation of everyone's picking for comfort. It does look like a meta draft.
One thing that we can point out is red teams here. Yang Wa. How do I pronounce it? I don't.
This happens
know.
every time, right? Just we try.
We try. But
Yeah.
you do have a little bit of discrepancy of magic damage on the red team side. I think Corki can bring that magic potential
Right.
later on in the game.
Oh, of
but
course.
if blue team decides to itemize towards armor,
Right,
yeah,
armor.
I think red team is gonna have a bit of an issue.
I mean, early on for sure, right? The idea of Corki dealing magic damage is pretty non-existent because you kind of need the crit items. You got to get to the point where your autos actually hurt, then you bring magic damage. But for the early game, your armor is what you want to be going for. Whereas if you're on the other side, magic resistance might be the best option here against Karma Rise because both solo laners actually do deal magic damage, and if you itemize well, you actually have a very fair opportunity to go up against them in the side lanes and come out ahead, especially if you have the Aatrox. I think right now healing, Spirit Visage for the healing doesn't look too bad of an item. Pretty high value,
yeah.
pretty efficient. It also does help the sustain when it comes to using the World Ender. You do get bonus healing. So the idea of this Aatrox last pick, actually pretty big fan of it.
AP now.
AP Nami. I think you and like Gerard are the only people I know that like, oh, better build AP Nautilus, AP Nami, like
Nami.
just go for those supports. Yeah, don't even build utility, right? Just go for the angry support build, just go in and fight.
Yep.
Unless you are someone that plays very aggressively and only on certain champions, I think then you build that way, like Pike, you know. AP Nami, AP Nautilus, nah man, that's not gonna fly.
You can do it, and if it works, you're the hero of the day, innit?
I give you best probably like Brand, right? If you play Brand support, then you build AP. Like even then, it's kind of, you know. But AP Nami, AP Nautilus, get out here, man. Not today.
All right. Well, what were we talking about before?
We're looking at the comps and just to, you know, sort of give an idea of the matches we're casting because right now, like you mentioned, we are going to be doing the same games as the Thai casters. Looking at the schedule for today, I believe we will be doing 2 qualifying matches in the upper brackets and then 1 in the lower brackets. So the format is a double elim best of 1. Right, so if you lose today, you will drop into losers bracket, the lower bracket. If you lose then, you're eliminated. So there is a chance for you to fight back. Right now we are doing the upper brackets, and for the next match is going to be the upper bracket one as well, and then for the 3 p.m. match is going to be the lower bracket.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Yeah, so high focus on the winners first, and then we'll see who fights their way up. Sort of like the underdog. I always like watching teams battle their way out of the lower bracket because it's so much more difficult, right? Everything is on the line the moment you lose again. So the teams always do play their best, like play their heart out. At the upper bracket, you can still goof around a bit, experiment, and then you get a second chance if you draw.
Well, obviously the key of the game right now is not to tilt if you lose. I think that's the most important thing you can do if you decide.
In general, tilting is not a good idea. Like, don't tilt, right? That's the ideal mentality. Especially if you're playing like a LAN style tournament, right? If you're playing a single day of games or 2 days of games, it becomes more difficult to keep your mental facilities in check. Mental faculties rather. But when you're playing a long sort of season, I think tilting becomes less of an issue because you're playing like a game a week, right? So much easier to prepare for. But when it comes to LAN, you have to be, keep your mental there. If you lose one game, the next game, you kind of have to mental reset and decide, I can go in fresh and hopefully, take the game after that.
Yeah, definitely. It's a more high stakes format. If you screw up on one day, you don't have a second day to come back from.
For sure. Right now we are into game. I'm pretty excited to see our first game for today. The drafts are amazingly specific what they want to accomplish on both sides. And spawn on the red side, they're gonna be a very defensive start coming in. How are you gonna pronounce that again, Chufan? Yengwa? Is that how we're going? I kind of like blue side more. Homeland Legends is catchy, simple, very patriotic also.
Doesn't seem to fit on the screen though.
Yeah,
so.
it's a bit long. Speaking of patriotic, happy belated National Day.
Happy belated National Day.
Right, so the Homeland Legends girls will be centered towards the top side of the map. Here you can see the Rise and the Karma defending the blue buff, whereas it's going to be 3 members strong on the red, so no one really watching the mid lane here.
Yeah, just a bit of a standard start, both junglers going for their respective red buffs. I don't think we're going to see much action in the early game unless Rise decides to go in for, that sneaky standard ward that we usually see. Yeah,
Rose moving in for the Raptor ward, and that's the early vision information ward, right? You want to put down, and especially against the Jarvan who can actually level 2 cheese you. I think that's a pretty valuable ward to have. The Kayn here is going to be starting on a red buff. Normally you see Kayn players do like to opt for the Raptor stuff, but instead going for a very standard buff take with the help of the bot lane.
Well, it's a safer start for the Kayn, I guess. If you don't have much practice on it, the easiest thing you can do is go for the buff first.
Yeah. Now moving over to Raptors, and Kayn players take that very quickly. Meanwhile, the bot side here not helping their jungler out means that they will have a bit of lane priority in the bot lane. Getting shoved in is the Lucian and Nautilus.
Yeah, really gonna suck for the Lucian. You don't have the range to contest the Caitlyn, and when you're shoved in, Caitlyn can just get that free poke.
You can see the wave is already pushed up, and the Jarvan is gonna be pathing to clear the top side first, so won't be getting any early ganks this time. It's just gonna be a pretty standard clear. I say that. The Void heading to the top side, maybe looking to make something happen on the Karma. Remember, she has no escape tools this early on. Wave is getting slightly shoved up. She picked up the sweeper this early on to make sure this gank is successful. She's coming in, flag and drag knocks her up, and Snell already not really using the Q just yet. I think that was on cooldown, and this is a gank though that has been successfully avoided without the use of any summoner spells.
There's a bit of an oof. You don't really have enough CC to lock her down to burst her. And that comes late Q, so I guess was on cooldown.
Unfortunate communication or miscommunication there coming in, so early recall from the Void is gonna signal to us that she's backing out of here. I'll be heading to the bot side next. Meanwhile, the Kayn player has already cleared majority of her jungle Amy's. 5 camps in, looking for the last one here.
Yep, certainly the Jarvan at this moment in time is sort of behind in terms of jungle clear. Kayn now also going to go back to base, so that's a bit of a reset. I think if Jarvan wants to catch back up, he has to look for a gank sooner rather than later.
But this is the idea of, when we talk about junglers, the idea of pressure and tempo, right? The Jarvan, the 4th went to the top side to put some pressure down on the Karma. Unfortunately, if the gank had worked, if she burned flash, she would have gotten a lot of regank pressure there. But in this case, because it failed, you're quite behind in terms of tempo. Now Kayn is going to be the one that comes in with, chilling smite now, can look to make something happen on the map.
Yeah, definitely. Now, look at him. He's actually going towards the bot side. I think he's there the Crux. He actually walked past the Crux. Is he?
Yeah, actually did walk past the Crux, looking to hit into the bot side for something here.
Might see both junglers meet here. Nope, never mind.
Failing the Q. Oh, man. You hate to see that.
Feels bad, man.
Now she has to take the walk of shame back to the Crux, clear the camp out. Meanwhile, Jarvan taking the bottom Scuttle Crab is pretty good. This gives their team a bit of an informational play here using these Scryers. Bloom is going to spot out the Kayn, like you mentioned. So right now, Yinghua, with the full information of where the jungler is, can play more aggressively in bottom half. We're 4 minutes in, and meanwhile, first blood coming on the bottom side. It's the Nami as well as the Caitlyn that picks that one up, and Flash being used by the Caitlyn to get the kill there, whereas no summoner spells expended whatsoever on the side of the Lucian Nautilus. I think this is pretty much what we expected, right? If the Aqua Prison landed, it's pretty much all in and guaranteed kill on the side of the Caitlyn Nami. Early lead being picked up by Yinghua at 4.5 minutes in.
Yeah, but not sure what exactly happened there, but if I had to guess, I would say maybe it's probably the Caitlyn's rage that caught Lucian out by surprise.
Big wave being shoved in here, so this is a bit of a misplay coming from the Lucian. Dying at that point, you kind of miss like a 1.5 waves, even 2 waves fully here. And recalling is the Caitlyn, who should be able to pick up a BF sword with the first blood gold as well.
Yeah, at the moment, you can take a look at the CS discrepancy, which really tells the story of this lane. Caitlyn just being that passive bully, not allowing Lucian to farm up by just pushing him under his tower constantly.
Overall though, the CS, like you mentioned, is looking pretty healthy, not only for the Caitlyn but also for the Aatrox in the top side, which we kind of expected to have a tough time, right? We thought that this Aatrox was going to be pushed in and pressured out, but instead CSing still pretty well and dodging away from a lot of the skill shots coming in. Might just be why she's performing exceptionally in the top half of the map.
Certainly, if you take a look at Yinghua, their CS across the board has been pretty good. Take a look at the mid lane. I think Corki is actually he was actually about a wave and a half ahead until he backed. So I think that's also something that is showing that's good towards the mid lane.
More importantly, Bell here managed to cheat the recall out. Didn't have to use the teleport to come back in because of fantastic wave management. So now the mid lane of Yinghua has the teleport advantage against the Rise, and will be able to make a play cross map if she wants to.
Definitely something you want to do when you're on Corki.
Oh, what up? Top lane, Flag and Drag is going to knock up the Karma. I don't think she's going to survive from here unless the Q misses. And oh, the flash coming in. The last Q might just be able to finish her off. They're chasing down. Oh, the Dragonlance, not enough damage. Where is the rest of the team? She's getting slowed down. Oh, the Damascene Standard is just enough for the kill right there. And Amy's now going to have to back off because she doesn't have the help of her mid laner just yet. Striking in the top side, the Jarvan getting the kill there.
A little overzealous from the Karma, trying to turn back and get some damage down. I'm not sure if she continued running, she might have gotten her life, but she does trade her life for just about nothing.
Meanwhile, in the mid lane, a bit of a disconnect coming in from the Rise. I think she might be looking to reconnect momentarily. Oh, yep, there we go. Pause coming in. That's the pause. So a bit unfortunate in the top half, like you said, you know, Karma overzealous might be the word here. But overall, they had to blow 2 flashes to get the kill on the Karma. So if you look at it, it's favorable trade in terms of summoner spells, but of course you do give the advantage over to the Jarvan early on.
Yes, surely. We said Jarvan was behind earlier in the game, now with 1 kill and with the CS about even at the moment. I think he has found his way back into this game, still lacking a jungle item, but during his next back he should be able to pick it up.
Yeah, and this also allows the Jarvan to sort of revisit the top lane at level 6 against the Karma when you have Cataclysm. No flash means she's locked in with you and then you can guarantee the kill from there on. It's a signal of things to come in the top half now. When we're talking about tempo and pressure, this is a lot of pressure right on the Karma top side.
One thing I do like about the Jarvan though, if she's able to go and find leads elsewhere, if you're on the Jarvan, you have that early damage and you want to look for early ganks. If she's able to do that, I think she can definitely put her team further ahead.
Yeah, and this is, we were talking about this pregame, it's what you need if you have this composition. Caitlyn has to come out of lane ahead and so does the Corki, because double ADCs does scale, but there's a momentary power trough in the mid game where kind of don't do anything, they just sit there and wave clear, and they're weak and prone to getting engaged upon and losing team fights.
At the moment we don't see much action across the map. I think, at this moment I think both teams are just happy to just farm up. Lucian's getting chunked in the bot lane though, that's a real feels bad for him.
Did have to sort of pop a potion there and heal up. Targon's Brace is decent at keeping her topped up, but like you say, it's a feels bad moment dealing against a Caitlyn, or rather playing up against a Caitlyn with the BF sword. Get this, the Kayn coming in, the control ward is going to spot out this Tribrush ward here. But the very smart ward by the Caitlyn over the wall is going to see the Kayn. Amy now is going to get foiled in her attempt on the bot side, and so far 8 minutes in we haven't really seen the Kayn do all too much. this is a pick we were talking about needing a sort of. It's all about the early game pressure. I think Kayn has been failing on that regard so far.
It's a bit of missing pick. I'm not exactly sure why you're gonna pick Kayn if you're just gonna farm up the entire laning phase effectively. you do have tools to get you into that lane for some creative ganks.
Right.
I think if you don't use that to the full potential, I don't think you're using Kayn properly.
And as Omo would say, you know, the idea of picking Kayn also, you have to skirmish early on because you need the stacks. You need to be able to get the early evolve. Haven't hit a single champion yet 8 minutes in. That's bad sign for the Kayn player because then you don't get any evolves anytime soon. Hold on, engage coming out onto the Nami, depth charge into the Dredge Line. She flashes away, counter engages with a great tidal wave and a cataclysm onto Lucian. Is going to fly away. Meanwhile, coming in with the Valkyrie and the big one, a lot of damage down to Lucian is the first to fall, and so is the Nautilus. No Aqua Prison already hitting, but in the end, they pick up 3 kills. Great assist coming in from the Corki with the package as well as the counter game from the Jarvan. Massive, massive play.
That's an easy 3-4-0 coming in for Ayanghua. I think Corki knew what he had to do. Half down towards the bottom side when he saw that a gank was incoming and just used that package to spectacular effect.
Yeah, this is the window where the Corki has the package. You can't make any plays happen. Unfortunately, didn't get the memo. The Homeless Legends coming in, unfortunately making the gank, or rather forcing the gank, right? And now they're gonna get the Dragon on the bottom half.
Well, we did say Kayn wasn't doing much and now he's doing a little less than that, I think I'd argue.
Oh man, alright, getting the Air Drake. Not the worst dragon that your opponents could take, like we were saying. It's not a high impact sort of objective this early on, but still. Really, really tricky coming in. In the meantime, we're gonna see the top side just be shoved in by the Karma. And CS-wise, she is slightly ahead, but overall gold, you know, it's not a lot, it's like 100 gold, right?
Yeah. I mean, if we could, yeah, that's gold, I think. Across the board, we do see, I think that's about 3k gold lead, which is, you know, about fair with 5 extra kills and a dragon.
A lot of it is piled in, you know, in favor of the Jarvan as well as the Corki, which is not necessarily the best place to put your money or put cash your checks with. But as the game goes on, you do want the goal to be funneled more towards the Caitlyn and the Corki.
Yeah, at this moment, we did discuss Lucian's ability to maybe punish the Caitlyn later on during the mid game.
Not like this, man.
Not like this. I mean, if he's 0-2 and 0, that's not
like
gonna happen anytime soon.
Especially with the low range, it makes it so difficult for you to sort of skirmish and hold. A lot of damage on the top side. Snowseer is just pretty much gonna back off. Does have the World Ender still, and it's gonna land the first Q. The second one coming in. The third one might just be enough. Not using the World Ender just yet. Meanwhile, the Kayn coming in for the gag. Using a lot of escape tools to get out of this one. World Ender will be popped preemptively to get out because of the speed boost. But overall, no kill coming in on the top side. No summer spells being burnt either. Jeez.
Here's the thing about this matchup though. If Aatrox is able to land his first Q, he can really just run at you if you're the Karma. But the thing is, if you are the Karma, you are very fast. So I'm not sure why you would get caught out by a straight Q.
I think mispositioning there is a large issue in the top side, right? Looking at the items coming in, you see this first item, Iceborne Gauntlet, like we sort of predicted in the top half. Needs the armor, needs the slow coming in from the passive rather.
I'm gonna stop the Aatrox from running at you with just a little bit more effectiveness, I guess.
Items coming in from the bot half as well. It's gang coming, like you said, it's the Rice walking in though. That is a legendary EQ gank. That's not gonna work.
What are you doing, man?
I think forcing it, they're getting a bit desperate here on the side of the Homeless Legends. They're trying to make something happen, they're trying to stifle the Caitlyn, but it's not really working because she's still ahead in CS, she's still ahead in kills, and she's still ahead in gold.
And now you're behind on Rise and you're getting pushed in on the wave. Luckily you do have a bit of wave clears though, so shouldn't be too much of an issue in the mid lane.
Meanwhile, Rift Herald's been started up by Devoid in the top half of the map. It does have the Chilling Smite available if she needs to use it to clear this one out, but I don't think she's going to get spotted out because Kayn is on her own rip buff. This is a timing window you can exploit.
Corki's trying something. Oh, no, just gonna ward that push and walk back to mid lane, I guess. Karma's actually pathing down, not sure. He does spot out the Jarvan, but
it's a bit too late. Yeah. And even then, I don't think she would want to take that fight. Speaking of taking a fight in the top side, she's landing the first Q, landing the second, landing the third as well. Flag and drag, forcing the flash. Cataclysm might just be enough to finish her off here. She's tanking the turret up. A great stopwatch to buy herself the time under the turret, and that's gonna allow her to evade the gank coming in. 2 flashes used once more, but the stopwatch was enough. Oh man, this is a bit too greedy. Why did she walk up? The Void getting the kill credit for that one, and I think there's a bit of a tilt here on your face, Chufan. She gets away from the first gang, she goes back in for seconds, a glutton for punishment.
The thing is, she shouldn't even have been ganked the first time. That was a bit of questionable pathing. Why are you walking up that way when your lane is pushed in? Should have taken the safe path and gone down back towards your tower from the backside.
Right there, they find another kill, the Void now, 3-0-2. This jungler, massive impact early on. 13.5 minutes in. 4K is, well, 4.5 is the lead right now for the Yanghua side.
Feels bad if you are the Kayn though. You can't really do anything at this point because your laners are so far behind, and Yanghua has these wards set up in a defensive position.
This is like the classic solo queue move where you just type in all chat, my laners are like gapped, because you can't make anything happen when they're just straight up losing and feeding like that. You know, when they walk up so far and they're not respecting the enemy jungler, there's only so much you can do, right?
And at this point, you really have to question what this Kayn is going to be able to do later on in the game. Like you said, he doesn't really get the opportunity to find the stacks for the transform. And one thing I remember clearly from playing Kayn for the first time was I didn't get the stacks and I had no damage. Literally dealt no damage to the AD carry. So at this point, if you're a regular Kayn, you can't really do much to impact this game.
I think Leonard was saying also, because he was the one that drafted the Kayn during Gold Game. I said like, well, the premium timing for any transformation is like 13 minutes when you force the stacks out. Even if you lose skirmishes, you get the stacks. 13 minutes is the cap of timing. You want to be transformed by that point so you can start impacting the mid game. 14 minutes in, not even close to transform. Only a single core item complete on this Kayn. It's extremely low impact. It's resulting in your solo laners just now falling behind even more.
At this point, if you're homeless
legends,
you're actually just playing a 4v5, no lie.
It's just a big cannon minion at this point, and there you go. First turret is gonna go the way of the bot laners here from Yanghua. They will pick up a good amount of gold for that one. Infinity Edge already completed on the Caitlyn, who did go for the Fleet Footwork Keystone. So the next item should be a Static Shift or Rapid Fire Cannon coming in.
Yeah, Blade of the Ruined King coming in for Lucian as well. Gonna, mitigate a bit of the oppressive laning, which unfortunately is not gonna last for much longer.
Lane phase is over, man.
Now that the bottom tower is gone.
And now they have control of Ocean Drake, so Ocean and Air Drake, we might see a Typhoon Drake coming up next.
Typhoon Drake.
Yeah, dude, water and air, it's just massive all four elements coming in.
Sure.
Coming in for the gank, the Aqua Prison, not really landing, and neither is the Tidal Wave. I think forcing that one a bit too much. Rose is still gonna get knocked up though, as they force the rotation through with the Rift Herald, so a good use of spells coming in, but a flank from the Nolus. Is this the legendary flank from the Nolus? I don't think so. They find a lot of damage onto the Caitlyn though, so they will find the first kill. The second one, though, will go over the way of Yanghua as they pick up the Nolus, and like you said, missing the hook. Bit of a misplay coming in. The legendary Nolus flank, not enough to find them more kills, and the mid tier one should be falling here with 3 members strong on the Yanghua side.
Well, if he did land his hook, I think they might actually have picked up more than one kill. But at the end of the day, they do manage to stop the onslaught of Yanghua onto their mid lane tower. So I guess that's sort of worth.
It is a win though, because the Rift Herald only managed to get like a single charge off. You didn't lose mid tier 1, so overall a good force there. Still, they are 7k behind, and they're gonna lose the Ocean Dragon here. And teleport being used by the Rise to just get back into lane and shove it up.
Yanghua definitely having priority over the Dragon. I don't think they're gonna be contested at all. But moment blending seems just pushing that wave under the tower.
This double AP composition that they have shouldn't be falling behind this early on, and because they are, it's a big question mark of how do they move forward from here, right? I mean, what are your options? Because in the side lane, there's really no one that can deal with the Aatrox right now. In terms of itemization, he's pretty big. Black Cleaver and Merc Threads available, and the gold difference is pretty huge as well. 1k compared to the Karma, and a decent amount compared to the Rise.
At this point, it's just... Ooh, here we go.
Finding the Caitlyn overextended just a bit, but she's gonna get a counter kill response beyond Dredge Line. Will find the Nami, and in a trade 1-for-1 in the mid lane, the Caitlyn with majority of the gold gonna get taken out, and the kill credit is gonna go the way of the Rise, I believe, in the mid lane.
Yeah, that was a 1-for-1, but I think it's a bit more worth for the Homeless Legends. I think if you want to get that gold on the Rise, you want to get him online as soon as possible so that he can begin pumping out that damage into Yanghua.
Yeah, ideally, you find the Rise a hit. Maybe you could deal with the Aatrox in the side lane once he picks up the Morellonomicon, but even then, you know, it's a 25-minute item window that you're looking at, and 17 minutes in there, you have to sort of stem the bleeding before it gets a bit too serious. Snow is gonna shove the top side once more and get a lot of chip damage down the top tier 1. Just dashing forward with the Qs coming in.
Aatrox at this point isn't worried at all about this karma. He's just, I'm gonna push the lane under your turret and there's nothing you can do to stop me.
Even if the Kayn comes in, I don't think they have enough damage to kill the Aatrox before he heals it all back up. So that's why, you know, you can play a bit more dangerously and push past the river.
Yeah, but well, if this karma decides to just chill under his tower, the Aatrox isn't gonna find any opportunities to go in and kill her either, unless he tries for, you know, a bit of a ballsy tower dive.
Yeah, I mean, with the shield, you could actually just proxy the wave and then freeze it under your turret and mitigate the chip damage coming in. Meanwhile, looking in the mid lane once more is this Kayn. Finally getting the evolve, I believe, did go for Shadow Assassin. Kayn, the assassination potential much higher now on the Caitlyn, which is ideal if you want to take out a primary target. And
he has a serrated Dirk and too long, so he's not gonna do any damage at this point.
Yeah, you might be waiting for the Dust Blade before the assassination potential comes in. At this point, you're only looking to partially harass the enemy down.
Well, at this point, we're not gonna see much action. I think Caitlyn's just waiting for that mid game power trough to, you know.
You say that.
Oh,
they're looking to make something happen on the top side. They land the first Q. The Flag and Drag though will be flashed away from, and the Karma, not in range to be taken down by the Cataclysm, will mean that top tier 1 will fall in favor of Ayanghua. Meanwhile, here comes the Corki of the flank, and Bell is gonna get the kill credit. I think Kayn arriving a bit too late there. And there was a window because the package was available. Bell knew that she could go in on the flank, and they did get the kill. Now 10-2 is the kill score, and it's Caitlyn. Oh boy. Having to use the Saros to mitigate the damage coming in. One more attack would have finished that off, but Summer's just backing off, knowing that enemy reinforcements have arrived.
I don't think we could have blamed Halsey for that action. Yes? No? Maybe?
She's looking like she wants it. Oh man, the flash dredge like she really wants it, and the assassination potential is enough. When you have 4 members there, but meanwhile the teleport coming in from Snell. This is a messy fight. They might want to pick up the Rise first, but overextending on the front is the Aatrox. Now they're turning the fight over. They find the damage onto the Corki jumping out of this. The Flag and Drag in the Cataclysm dumped him into the grey screen chamber right now, and they find a 1-for-3 trade. 1-for-2 rather. 2-for-2 overall, so not too bad of a trade, but I think overextended on both sides there.
Good to see Homeless Legends with some signs of life still in their corner. I think if they're able to find more of these fights, eventually they're gonna start having the damage to start taking off some.
Man, both teams are just so hungry for kills, and the exploding big one coming in from Bell, enough to get the kill. That's a ton of damage, super unexpected because this Karma didn't itemize magic resistance at all.
Yeah, well, at this point, Ayanghua just gonna take these turrets for free. I don't think. Even if they take an equal fight, I think Ayanghua does have the pushing potential to take these turrets.
They have the Trinity Force Corki. 504 is the stat line for this massive mid laner for Ayanghua right now. And you hate to see that. You hate to see the Corki just so big in the mid game.
It's a bit of unfortunate. It's a bit of an unfortunate situation to be in for Homeless Legends. You can't really do much against this Corki. If you wanted to punish him, you should have picked a bit of more of an early game champion. But no, you go for the Rise. And they go for a gank.
Going for a gank is a bit of a misnomer as Shalazon gets caught out in the river, and Nala shouldn't have been there. She was unfortunate, and as they look to tunnel onto the Rise, a good amount of damage being turned back onto the Jarvan though as they use the Rune Prison. Stopwatch is going to buy Devoid a bit more time and space as she flashes out. Meanwhile, Rose playing super aggressively, flashing forward for the kill. Not finding it though because the body block was pretty decent coming in from her teammates. Devoid is going to get out with her life from the flash.
That was definitely a bit of a messy fight coming in from, I think, both sides. Starting with Devoid, jumping in for a bit of a overzealous. I don't know what that was.
She reached through the Flag and Drag. She's like, maybe I could kill the Kayn here, but the return damage now that the Serrated Dirk has been completed into the Dust Blade is actually pretty effective at countering the attempts at ganking her.
Without Cataclysm, I don't think this Jarvan has much damage to go for those sorts of engages.
Overall though, they can take those trades because at the end of it, they still find the objectives that they need, and now double Cloud Drake and single Ocean Drake means that the Elder Dragon later on is just going to be a huge point of contention.
It definitely will be, but at the moment we don't see many objectives on the map to be taken. Kayn spotted out as he's going toward the topside river. I think like both teams right now, they just want to farm up. That's what they want to do, except maybe Lucian. I think Lucian right now, if he wants, he can go for he can go look for a bit of a pick. But I don't think at the moment Ayanghua is gonna allow him that.
Yeah, speaking of which, they are grouping up the mid lane, so I don't think picking anyone off is gonna be a decent option here. If you do find some miraculous opportunity to jump on a member, this, you know, he has friends, she's gonna have some backup with her, and in the jungle now, a lot of vision being put down, flag and drag into the blue buff, and the Void's gonna say, this is my buff, there's nothing you can do to stop me from taking it. And so I say that Amy's gonna just leap in and take the buff away from her, but man, like I said, there's no way you should be contesting this. Jumping out, managing to get over the wall though, that charge is gonna find the Jarvan. Now they turn the damage across onto the Corki, and that's the target that you want, a 7-1 and 4 Corki, finally finding the kill there. There's still another AD carry on the back though as the Caitlyn pushes forward together with the Aatrox, and even though they do find the Corki, there's still a good deal of damage on the backline. Knowledge going back in for more, don't think you want to take this fight. Lucian having to run back into the safety of the base. 3 for 2 being traded across as Ayanghua find another great fight.
And the theme of this game has just been over-engages. What is Homeless Legends trying to do? First with that first engage, when your Lucian is at the bot lane, and second with the Nautilus jumping into a 1v3.
He did find a kill on the Jarvan, but even then it's like, well, if you trade 1 for 1, it's good enough, right? You shouldn't be re-engaging once more in the Nautilus there. Like you said, overzealous throughout the duration of this whole game, just consistently overreaching.
I mean, some of his overreaches have resulted in a few kills, but at this point, when you're this far behind, why are you looking for fights when your AD carry isn't there with you?
I mean, the idea you were talking about earlier, you know, making picks, and right now I think that Snell might be the one picked out as the Aatrox going in super aggressively, finding a good deal of damage onto the Kayn, having to flash away now. Amy has to be very careful. Halsey and Melody now backing off. Tidal Wave is gonna cut off the escape route as the Corki comes in, looking to pick up the kills, already finds the Kayn, looking for the second one now, and she gets the double on the Lucian, but Mew on the back end, the Rise as well as the Nautilus doing a good deal of damage as the Nautilus will be the sacrificial lamb. I don't think, oh man, staying around, not a good idea, and right now they get all the kills that they want. They want the Baron as well, and they're picking it down. This should be the objective taken as well.
You can't look for those sorts of collapses when you're this far behind. You can't even take the front and back fight at this point. So I have no idea what Homeless Legends was trying to do there. Gives over a free Baron over the Ayanghua.
You could see off the back, they managed to find a kill onto the Nami. It's like, well, you get one consolation kill, you just back off, right? I'm not sure why the Rise and all stood around, got caught by the flagging drag once more, and right there it's an instant dragon take for Ayanghua as they push forward now with the buff.
Instant Baron take.
Yes, Baron
it's
take.
going to be a bit of free tower here in the mid lane as well. Ayanghua just going to sweep up objectives across the map.
Goal difference in this, my goodness, it's a 4.5k difference for the Corki. He's gonna get isolated right here. Oh man, hello. You hate to see that.
What the heck? What?
Ah, almost trespass into a trap. I think the Kayn player thought, you know, he could dash through that, but no.
We're 252 on the Kayn. The enemy
262,
Caitlyn
my
is
man.
the 252 earlier. Caitlyn is 67 and Corki is 10-1 and 8. Why are you jumping into that in the first place? My question.
Even if you do find a kill, best case scenario it's a 1 for 1, and both of them did have, or at least the Corki did have the summoner spells up to mitigate the potential of a kill there. So I'm not sure why he or she did stick around for it.
Definitely getting a bit desperate from Homeless Legend. I don't think they're actually going to be able to find a way back into this game, like at all at this point. So
is the game over right now, True Fun? Is that your call? This is GG right now?
Look at the goal difference. It's over, my friend.
Yeah, it might be over, and I think as the Homeless Legends come in, they might be looking to rethink the strategy as they approach the next game. We were talking about, you know, not tilting, right?
Yep.
This is the point where you take a step back and reset your mental game, as it were.
But now with this Baron Ayanghua, it hasn't actually been pushing all too much. Oh, see back.
Halsey here is coming into the top side still though, healing it up pretty well. Remember, there's no grievous wounds whatsoever on the side of the Homeless Legends, and Ayanghua now pushing for it now. Might be looking for the kill on the Halsey. Not finding the last Q though, as she has overreached, and here comes the Lucian. Amy's gonna get the kill there. You on the bottom half, 3 members pushing and barreling down on bot tier 2. So they sacrifice the Aatrox on the top side, but they find 2 very decent objectives here. Bot tier 2 falling as well as the Ocean Dragon. So double Ocean, double Air Drake taken. This is the true Typhoon Drag coming in.
This is definitely a bit worth. I don't think Aatrox has been doing much this game, so his death doesn't exactly mean a lot.
The scoreline says it all. 1, 2, and 7.
On the ball side of the map though, they do find a bunch of objectives. Definitely advantage Ayanghua. I want to see them, you know, utilize this dragon advantage as well as the Baron, look for more towers, because at this point I think you can just run at them and take those objectives.
Speaking of objectives, they're looking for top tier 2 and looking to keep all the outer structures off the map. Snell's job so far has been to just soak pressure on the top side, play super aggressively and wait for the rest of the team to make something happen. Speaking of making something happen, Aussie immediately deleted by the quirky damage. The crit's way too much for the karma right there. So looking for the push on the top side, they do have the Baron wave pushing in, calling the youth to get the wave out. But I don't think it's enough, and the Demacian standard might signal a fight to come in as Alpha Prison has been thrown out to dissuade any further pushes in.
Meanwhile, I think it just goes on.
Yeah, look at this. The cannon minions Baron powered up, just taking the structures down so quickly, and I don't think Amy can even do anything here. The depth charge being used by the Knowledge to stop the engage from the Void and the Rune Prison just for added measure, but the Cataclysm might just be enough here. They fight very too quick. Big spell gets both of them with immediate auto attacks, and right now here comes Snell for the reinforcements. This is game over, ladies and gentlemen. I think there's nothing that the ladies from Hobos Legends can do at this point.
It's a 16k gold loot around of this game. Honestly, at this point, I think we have. Even though they did win, they could have won.
Yeah, I think not only earlier, but also in the cleanup fashion. It's slightly sloppy, and when you look at the tournament plays coming through, they're looking for more kills. And just to pad the KDAs as they dance around, but it's going to be the Nexus that goes down. And back to your point, the idea of in a long-form tournament where the lead-up to all of this is FSL League, you have to be clean, you have to be good at making your calls.
I'm not gonna lie, definitely some questionable performances from both teams. I think both teams are able to be punished. Definitely Aangwak coming out the victors of this game, but I think if they do have to face a stronger opponent in the next round, they might actually falter quite a bit.
Yeah, a lot leaving a lot to be desired rather, as both teams come in for the first game for today. Of course, maybe it's just the nerves, maybe it's just the players not having their coffee yet. Maybe a lot of things to be questioned as the players move forward. Now, unfortunately, the Homeless Legends will drop to the lower brackets, so they will have a chance for redemption. They can play all the way to the final still, but Aangwak luckily, progressing forward into the next stage of the qualifiers for FSL Thailand. For now, guys, I think we will be going for a short break as we move on to our next set of matches. We will be back, I think, for the next game at 2 p.m. So for now, maybe you could make yourself a cup of coffee, maybe look for some food as we go for a short break. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back.